By 1906, San Francisco had become something extraordinary. Not the oldest American city, not the largest, but undeniably the boldest. Built on hills that seemed to defy construction itself, it rose from the edge of the continent with an energy that felt entirely its own. 400,000 people call this place home now. The population has more than doubled in just 6 years. That kind of growth doesn't happen quietly. Every month brings new buildings, new businesses, new arrivals stepping off ships or trains with whatever they could carry and whatever hopes they could sustain. The city absorbs them all. It always has. Market Street runs straight through the heart of everything, impossibly wide at 120 feet across. Streetcars clatter down the center tracks every few minutes, electric cables humming overhead. Cable cars climb the steeper grades where electric traction fails, their grip wheels catching the moving cables beneath the street with mechanical precision. Horse-drawn wagons still work the delivery routes, though their numbers thin each year. Automobiles appear more frequently now, though they remain curiosities that draw stares and occasional complaints about noise and exhaust. The ferry building stands at the foot of Market Street where it meets the bay. Its clock tower reaches 245 feet into the sky, visible from most of the city and far out across the water. Ferries arrive and depart in steady rhythm, connecting San Francisco to Oakland, Alameda, Sausalito, dozens of bay communities. More than 50 million passengers move through the ferry building annually. Morning and evening, the crowds surge through its arched entrance hall in waves, workers commuting, merchants traveling, visitors arriving. The building never fully empties. Walk up Market Street from the waterfront and the city reveals itself in layers. The financial district clusters near Montgomery Street. Massive stone buildings housing banks, insurance companies, trading firms. The Mills Building, the Crocker Building, the Call Building with its dome reaching 20 stories high. Inside these structures, hundreds of clerks work at oak desks in rooms lit by electric bulbs and large windows, processing transactions that connect this western port to markets across the globe. Typewriters clatter, telephones ring, messages arrive by telegraph throughout the day. The streets stay crowded from early morning until well past dark. Business hours officially run from 9 to 5, but the city's rhythm extends far beyond those limits. Saloons open before dawn to serve night workers ending their shifts. Restaurants operate continuously. The theater district near Union Square lights up each evening with marquees advertising opera, vaudeville, melodramas, variety shows. The Grand Opera House, the Columbia Theater, the Orpheum. Performances start at 8. The wealthy arrive in carriages. Everyone else walks or takes the streetcar. Nob Hill rises above the downtown core, steep enough that horses once struggled with the grade before cable car lines made the summit accessible. Now mansions occupy every lot with a view. Massive Victorian and neoclassical houses built by railroad barons and mining millionaires. The Flood Mansion, the Crocker Mansion, the Stanford Mansion. Some cover entire blocks. Their formal gardens, conservatories, and carriage houses announce wealth in a language everyone in the city understands. Below Nob Hill, the working neighborhoods spread in every direction. South of Market, called simply South of the Slot, for the cable car slot running down Market Street's center, houses factory workers, longshoremen, day laborers. The buildings here rise only 2 or 3 stories. Wood frame construction packed tightly together. Families rent single rooms in boarding houses, communal kitchens, shared bathrooms down the hall. Laundry hangs from lines strung between buildings. Children play in the streets because there's nowhere else. The Mission District stretches south along Mission Street. Historically Spanish but now predominantly working-class Irish, German, Italian. Small houses with wooden siding, corner grocery stores, Catholic churches with services in multiple languages. Valencia Street runs parallel to Mission, lined with workshops, carpenter shops, plumbing suppliers, tool merchants. Men work long hours here. 60-hour weeks remain standard. Sunday provides the only guaranteed rest, and even that depends on the employer. North Beach climbs Telegraph Hill, where Italian fishermen have settled in tight communities. They speak Italian in the streets, Genoese and Sicilian dialects mixing in the bakeries and coffee houses. Early each morning, the fishing boats depart for the bay and the ocean beyond the Golden Gate. By mid-morning, they return with catches of salmon, sea bass, sole, crab, The fish markets on the wharf do steady business. The smell of salt water and fish guts never fully leaves the neighborhood. Chinatown occupies 15 square blocks between Kearny and Stockton, north of California Street. Approximately 15,000 Chinese residents live here, though the exact count remains uncertain because many avoid census takers. The district operates according to its own rules and rhythms. Narrow streets lined with 3- and 4-story buildings painted in reds, greens, gold. Signs in Chinese characters hang vertically from upper floors. Restaurants, gambling halls, temples, herbalist shops, import stores filled with goods from Canton and Hong Kong. Tourists visit during daylight hours, treating the neighborhood like an exotic attraction. Most never see the cramped rooms where entire families share spaces barely 10 feet square, or the basement factories where workers labor for wages white employers wouldn't accept. The streetcar network covers the city comprehensively now. The Market Street Railway Company operates most lines, though several smaller companies compete for routes in the outer districts. 5 cents buys a ride anywhere within the city limits. Transfer tickets allow passengers to switch between lines without additional fare. The cars run from 5 in the morning until midnight, packed during rush hours with workers, shoppers, students. Standing room only most trips. The motormen control speed and braking from platforms at each end, reversing directions simply by moving to the opposite end and rotating the pole that connects to the overhead wire. Golden Gate Park stretches 3 miles from Stanyan Street west toward the ocean, 1,000 acres of constructed landscape carved from sand dunes. The achievement required decades of work, thousands of tons of soil and compost, millions of trees and plants brought from around the world. Now the park contains museums, a conservatory, Japanese gardens, meadows, lakes, a music concourse where free concerts draw crowds every Sunday. Middle-class families spend weekends here. Workers come on their single day off. Everyone shares the paths and lawns, though invisible lines of class and ethnicity still determine who feels comfortable in which sections. Food defines much of the city's character. The restaurants range from elite establishments serving French cuisine to working-class chop houses offering steak and potatoes for 25 cents. The Palace Hotel maintains the most elaborate dining room, crystal chandeliers hanging over tables set with imported china and silver. Reservations required. Dinner costs $2 or more per person, a day's wages for a laborer. Meanwhile, dozens of lunch counters throughout the financial districts serve quick meals to clerks and office workers. Sandwiches, soup, coffee, everything priced for efficiency and rapid turnover. The Italians have brought their food traditions with them. Small restaurants throughout North Beach serve pasta, minestrone, seafood prepared in styles from Genoa and Naples. The prices stay reasonable enough that working families can afford occasional meals out. Bakeries produce sourdough bread using starter cultures some bakers claim to have brought from the old country, or received from earlier bakers who arrived during gold rush days. The distinctive tang has become associated with the city itself. Chinese restaurants occupy 2 categories. Those in Chinatown serve their own community authentic regional Chinese cuisines. Those outside Chinatown, called chop suey houses, serve modified dishes designed to appeal to white customers who want something they perceive as exotic, but not too challenging. Chop suey itself was likely invented in California. The restaurants that serve it do steady business nonetheless. The waterfront operates continuously. Longshoremen work in gangs, loading and unloading cargo ships docked at piers stretching north from the ferry building. Grain, lumber, fruits, wines heading out to Pacific markets. Manufactured goods, silk, tea, porcelain arriving from Asia. The work is brutal and irregular. Shape-up hiring each morning means uncertainty for everyone except men with connections to foremen. The wages vary. The strongest workers, those who can handle the heaviest loads, earn the most. Injuries happen regularly. No compensation exists beyond whatever charity organizations or family members can provide. Telegraph and telephone lines crisscross the city overhead, creating geometric patterns against the sky. The wires carry business communications, social calls, messages between family members who can afford home telephone service. The Pacific Telephone and Telegraph Company operates the system. Having a telephone remains a marker of prosperity. Most households still rely on written notes, personal visits, or simply waiting until they encounter whoever they need to speak with somewhere in the city's compact geography. The newspapers publish multiple editions daily. The Call, the Chronicle, the Examiner compete aggressively for readers and advertising revenue. Street corner vendors hawk papers throughout the day, shouting headlines about local corruption scandals, labor disputes, social events, national politics. The papers cost 1 or 2 cents. Nearly everyone reads at least one publication regularly. Literacy in San Francisco exceeds 90%. The city maintains free public libraries and numerous schools. Politics in the city revolves around an open secret. Abraham Rueff, a lawyer who holds no official position, controls most of the municipal government through his influence over Mayor Eugene Schmitz and the majority of the Board of Supervisors. Rueff brokers deals between businesses seeking city franchises and politicians willing to provide them in exchange for payments. The system operates brazenly enough that reformers have begun serious efforts to expose and prosecute the corruption. Grand jury investigations are underway. The newspapers follow every development with detailed coverage. Most citizens seem simultaneously outraged and resigned. This is how the city operates. It always has. Labor unions hold significant power here, more than in most American cities. The Building Trades Council, the Teamsters, the Sailors Union, the Waterfront Workers Federation. These organizations negotiate wages, limit working hours, restrict competition from non-union workers. Closed shop agreements remain common. Employers either work with union labor or face strikes and boycotts. The unions maintain labor temples where members gather for meetings, socials, educational lectures. Union membership provides identity and solidarity in a city where individual workers have little leverage. Women work throughout the city, though their options remain limited by convention and law. Department stores employ women as salespeople. Restaurants hire waitresses. Telephone companies use women as operators, believing their voices sound more pleasant on the line. Garment factories employ women in terrible conditions for wages lower than men receive for similar work. Domestic service remains the largest employer of women. Cooks, housekeepers, laundresses working in middle-class and wealthy households. Most women leave these jobs upon marriage, expected to focus entirely on home and children afterward. Some keep working anyway, necessity overriding convention. The school system educates approximately 50,000 children in the city, elementary through high school. Attendance is mandatory by law, though enforcement remains inconsistent, especially for working-class families who need their children's labor or income. The schools teach English exclusively, regardless of students' home languages. Immigrant children learn reading, writing, arithmetic, American history, citizenship. The goal is assimilation as much as education. It works, gradually. Second-generation children speak English without accents and know more about George Washington than about their family's country of origin. Entertainment options expand constantly. Nickelodeons have opened throughout the city, small storefront theaters showing silent films for a nickel admission. The films last 15 to 20 minutes, simple stories or documentaries or comedy sketches. The projection quality varies. The images flicker noticeably. The action moves in stuttering motion. Audiences pack the theaters anyway, enchanted by moving pictures that show places and stories impossible to experience otherwise. Piano players provide live musical accompaniment, improvising mood and rhythm to match the on-screen action. The earthquake of 1868 remains within living memory for the city's oldest residents, a major shake that caused significant damage throughout the region. That event led to stricter building codes, though enforcement of those codes remains irregular. Most of the city's structures are wood-frame construction, flexible but vulnerable. The newer downtown buildings use steel frames and masonry, supposedly more resistant to seismic forces. Everyone knows the city sits on unstable ground. The San Andreas Fault runs just miles to the west. Smaller tremors occur frequently enough that residents barely react anymore. It's simply part of living here. The weather remains mild and consistent. Fog rolls in from the ocean during summer months, burning off by afternoon. Winters bring rain but rarely freezing temperatures. Snow never falls at sea level. This climate allows year-round activity and construction. Gardens bloom continuously. The temperate weather contributes to the city's appeal for migrants from colder regions who arrive and decide to stay simply because the physical environment feels less hostile than wherever they came from. The wealthy maintain vacation homes in nearby areas: Burlingame, San Mateo, Marin County estates, accessible by ferry and train. They escape the city during summer, returning in fall for the social season. Opera performances, theater premieres, society balls at the St. Francis Hotel or the Palace Hotel. These events maintain rigid social hierarchies. The railroad and mining fortunes that built Nob Hill consider themselves superior to mere merchants. Old San Francisco families, those who arrived before 1860, maintain separate social circles from newer millionaires. Everyone watches everyone else, measuring status through addresses, club memberships, marriage connections. The city's location makes it inevitable that Asia shapes daily life here more than Europe does. Ships from Hong Kong, Yokohama, Manila arrive weekly at the port. Asian immigrants, Asian goods, Asian cultural influences flow into the city constantly, despite federal laws restricting Chinese immigration since 1882. The Exclusion Act slowed but didn't stop Chinese migration. Paper son schemes, false documentation, and creative interpretation of family relationship rules allow continued immigration. The city's Chinese population has stabilized rather than declined as the law intended. Japanese residents occupy a different position in the city's social hierarchy than Chinese residents. Fewer in number, perhaps 2,000 total, they concentrate in the Western Addition and South Park areas. Japan's emergence as a modern military power has granted Japanese immigrants a degree of respect denied to Chinese migrants. Japanese-run businesses include bathhouses, barbershops, supply stores serving the Japanese community, hotels catering to Japanese travelers. The relationship between Chinese and Japanese residents remains complex, shaped by the warfare between their home countries and by their different treatment within American society. Public markets operate throughout the week in various neighborhoods. Farmers bring produce directly from the valleys south of the city and from smaller farms in the outer districts where houses haven't yet covered all the land. Vegetables, fruits, eggs, dairy products sold from wagons and temporary stalls. The markets create social spaces where neighbors encounter each other, exchange news, gossip, political opinions. Shopping takes hours because buying food includes these conversations. Efficiency isn't the only goal. Connection matters too. The telephone exchange employs dozens of young women as operators, sitting at switchboards in rooms equipped with hundreds of jack ports and connecting cables. When someone places a call, they pick up their telephone and an operator answers, asking for the desired number. The operator then physically connects the call by inserting a cable into the appropriate port. The system requires constant attention and quick work. Multiple operators handle different sections of the city's phone grid. The work pays reasonably well for women. The hours are long. The supervisors watch constantly to ensure operators don't speak unnecessarily to callers or to each other. The city never fully darkened before electric lighting, but now it truly doesn't sleep. Streetlights illuminate major thoroughfares throughout the night. Saloons and gambling halls stay open continuously. Night workers move through streets that used to empty after dark. The change happened gradually enough that people who lived here a decade ago struggled to remember exactly when it shifted. When nighttime stopped, meaning the end of activity, and became just another period in the city's continuous cycle. Some neighborhoods still lack electric service. Gas lights illuminate those streets, softer and less reliable than electric bulbs, but familiar and adequate. The gas company maintains its infrastructure even as electricity expands, knowing that complete conversion will take years and that gas remains cheaper for heating and cooking than electricity. Many homes use both systems, electricity for lighting, gas for stoves, and water heaters. The pace of construction continues without pause. New residential districts push west toward the ocean, covering the sand dunes with grid-patterned streets and rows of identical houses. Developers sell these homes to middle-class buyers, clerks, small business owners, skilled tradesmen earning enough to aspire to home ownership. The houses cost between $2,000 and $4,000 typically. Buyers make down payments and take mortgages, committing to decades of monthly payments in exchange for property that defines their place in the city's social structure more clearly than any other factor. The city's future seems unlimited from the perspective of 1906. Growth continues. Population increases. New businesses open. The port expands. Every statistic points upward. The people who live here now see themselves as building something unprecedented. A great American city on the Pacific coast, a gateway connecting the nation to Asia and the wider Pacific world. They work within that vision, confident in what comes next, certain that San Francisco will rival and eventually surpass the old eastern cities that still dominate American commerce and culture. Telegraph Hill offers the best views of the bay and the city spreading below. People climb the steep paths to the summit and look out over everything they've built, everything they maintain, everything they expect to continue building. The vista encompasses the dense downtown core, the residential neighborhoods climbing and descending the hills, the waterfront with its piers and ships, the ferryboats crossing between San Francisco and the East Bay, the Golden Gate opening to the Pacific beyond. The light hits differently depending on the hour and season, but the city itself remains constant, solid, permanent, as anything humans create can be. This is San Francisco in 1906. This is how the city exists, how its people live, how its daily rhythm unfolds from dawn through night and into dawn again. This is the moment captured, ordinary and extraordinary simultaneously, a Western American city at the height of its confidence, at a point where everything seems possible, and nothing suggests that confidence might be misplaced. If you enjoyed this journey through time and this AI reconstruction of San Francisco in 1906, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this video with friends who appreciate history brought to life.